Hi, my name is Haley Carlson, and this is my review highlight video for my ePortfolio. So I kind of can't believe that this is the last video that I'll make for grad school. So we will go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and walk through just briefly some of my candidate information and talk about that, and then I'll walk through the activities. So starting out with my artifact folder, I put as much as I could in here. So I have my candidate information and then the district, elementary, and secondary artifacts. So I linked as much as I could in the slides, and then all of those documents are also uploaded into those folders. My goal video is really fun to look back at. I made this back in the summer of 2019 because back then it was one of the requirements for getting your activity tracker, so I did it right away. And this video is a really great reminder for me that although you can have goals and although you can have plans, you have to be flexible. It's really crazy how much changed in like the 7 months since I had made this video, and the pandemic and just kind of everything since. So, this is a good reminder for me that goals should be flexible. I should be flexible. And there's just something about this video, this goals video, that makes me happy because it reminds me of that. We had no idea what was coming. My leadership philosophy, this I made for a class and it changed a handful of times. I have a couple of different versions of it. And this is kind of where I've settled, at least for this time in my life. And as I've grown as a teacher and as a leader, I think that it's kind of shifted as I've discovered what my core values are and what's important to me within a school environment. So really the two quotes that I include, I kind of start and end my leadership philosophy with these two quotes that really mean a lot to me. So the first one is by Stephen Covey. Leadership is affirming people's worth and potential so clearly that they are inspired to see it in themselves. And all of my favorite leaders have made me feel worthwhile and valuable and like I can do my job and do it well. And that's when I've been most successful. And so that's the leader that I strive to be. And then at the same time, this quote that I end with at the end by Maya Angelou is, at the end of the day, people won't remember what you say or did. They will remember how you made them feel. And that is so true. I always remember how people make me feel. And those are the memories that I carry. And so it's important for me to be a leader who makes people feel valued, that every single person inside of a school is valuable and every single person inside of a school is important and necessary for our day-to-day operations. And so that's kind of where I'm at in my leadership philosophy for right now. My plan of study, another great reminder that things don't always go as planned, and you can plan out wonderfully and life will get in the way. So I have a few documents of this that I have redone a few times, I believe. So this is a good reminder that we can be flexible and it will be okay. My resume, I have enjoyed seeing how different things kind of shift and change for me, especially with my resume. So I'm really proud of my resume. I feel like it really demonstrates who I am. I'm a young teacher. I know that. I feel like I have good experience, work experience, but then I have additional professional experience that has definitely helped me, and volunteer experience that has helped me as well, and kind of have pushed me towards leadership and structured what I find most important in those aspects. My activity form. So down here I have all of my activities and the hours and the standards, so they should all be there. I think at first I thought that 150 hours seemed like a lot, and then I was like 200 hours in, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep going kind of thing. So something 150 sounds like a lot, and then you get going and you make it just fine. So my activity tracker, this was also another document that I have multiple copies of because I wanted to make sure that I got every single one accounted for in there. So each of my activities from the district, elementary, and secondary should be matched pretty well on there. administrative verification forms. So these are them. I did my district experience actually with 2 people. So our first secondary head of secondary education who I started with, she got another job. And so a principal in our district hired Trina to fill that in. So I kind of did half with Jeannie and half with Trina. And so it was fun to get 2 perspectives on that. I did my secondary experience with Dave Holloway, who was my first building principal, and he was actually the principal that graduated me from high school. So he actually also officiated my wedding to my husband. So I talked about this in my reflection paper, but when I first started the program, I had just moved out of Dave's building. I was with other administrators. I was getting things like bus duty and just things that made me feel really disappointed. And so then I kind of went back to Dave and I was like, can you help me find some activities at secondary that will be meaningful? So that was a very nice and quality experience that I had for my secondary, kind of once I got past the beginning. And then this is another really special one. So Beth Neitzel is my elementary principal that kind of helped me through this process. She was actually my 8th grade language arts teacher, and then she became an elementary school principal. She always thought she wanted to do secondary, and then she did elementary. And so I was her daughter's teacher. We were talking at parent-teacher conferences. I said that I needed elementary school experience. And she was like, oh, come hang out with me. And so I did. And then I just kept going back. It kept going back. It was my favorite experience. And I did not anticipate that at all. I've been a secondary teacher. I've been a high school teacher. I always thought high school was the route for me, but this definitely changed it. Kind of moving down the list, just really quickly, my annotated bibliography. This is another moment where I was overwhelmed by the requirements, reading the requirements. And then once I got into it, I realized, oh, all of my coursework prepared me for how to do this, prepared me for the information. Everything matches the standards. So what was overwhelming was easily accomplished. It took some time, but I felt like the program had really prepared me for the portfolio and for the annotated bibliography. And this was just a really good indicator for how much I had truly accomplished and learned over the process. So kind of starting out with my district, I'll just kind of touch on some of my favorite experiences. So I have the artifact folder linked here. And then if you click on any of these artifacts, I have some links, and then you can go to the direct artifact by just clicking on it. So some of my favorite activities for district, we have a vertical alignment team. So we have one for math and we have one for English, and it's teachers pre-K through 12 that get together and align the curriculum kind of top down and think through what is missing, where do we need to fill in these gaps and these holes, and how can we do that with the standards, and how can we have a productive conversation where nobody gets upset or angry with each other or feels called out. And that was a really special experience to see and really valuable for students that wouldn't have worked if we didn't have a great leader leading that charge. The other thing that I really enjoyed, and I had never done this before, was look at our district demographics. And I feel like this is something, no matter what district you're in, you feel like you should know and be aware of, because it helps you make decisions on what you teach and how you teach it and how you analyze things. So this was definitely really meaningful for me, and I think for some other teachers who hadn't known it before. Okay, going on to my elementary slides. So again, this was my favorite experience, and I did not anticipate loving it so much, but oh my word, I did. I loved it so much. I was just going to do the required 7 activities, and then I thought, well, I'm really interested in it. I'll just go ahead and I'll do the 10. So definitely unexpected, but definitely so much fun. My favorite activities that I had for this, so I had the opportunity to work with some students and to do some reading groups and really kind of figure out what it's like to be an elementary school teacher and to work with younger children, because I haven't had that experience. I work with teenagers, and so that was really, really cool to hear them and work with them and feel connected to the school and involved and included. That was such a meaningful experience for me. And then at the same time, I also did an after school evening program for 8 weeks with some parents and some other teachers and the principal. And I did this at another school. I was kind of everywhere with the elementary school, but this was really fun to get parents connected with each other and to get parents connected with community resources and have members of the community come in. It was such a unique experience that I feel like was really special to elementary. The other thing that the principals that I worked with talked about was that they really include their staff in making the schedule, which would be so hard at a 6A high school, that we don't really, as high school teachers, get a say in that, but it was so smart. It's such a big task. It's so smart to outline, the things that they have to have. They have to have these MTSS groups, and then you send out the schedule, they fill it in, and they send it back to you, and it's done. And so that was something that was kind of a no-brainer to me, but something I hadn't thought of that I really enjoyed about that, and that was a great idea. And then observing classrooms. I got to sit into so many different age groups, kinds of classes, styles, all of that. It was so much fun. I'm running out of time. Okay, my secondary slides, this was really where I expected to have the best time. I struggled at the beginning to find really meaningful activities. Like I said, I talked about it in my reflection paper. But once I kind of got into the swing of things, I really enjoyed learning our appraisal process and talking with the people who do the appraisals and work with the administrators and look through all of the teachers' work. The teachers put together these portfolios that are wonderful, and they work so hard on them. And it was so fun to look through some of those and see kind of how they compare on the Danielson framework, what teachers in our building are doing, what they're working on, what their goals are, and having those interactions was really awesome. I was also on the building committee. So our building committee this year served 2 parts. So we handled complaints from teachers, and then we also had to decide where some funds went for teachers. So we got to determine that. And then the other thing was our master schedule. This was a huge task. We have 3 lunches. We're in a pandemic. The master schedule was crazy. Class sizes, overloads. My mind was blown. I was so shocked by how that process worked out, and that was a really meaningful experience. And then my reflection. So I definitely talk about what I learned about myself. I think that this ePortfolio showed me what I could learn about me. And I certainly learned through the program about how to be a good leader, but I think I learned just as much about who I am as a person, who I am as a leader, what my core values are. And that is, I believe, really highlighted throughout my work in the portfolio, on my resume, in my reflection, all of that. So thank you so much for watching this video and viewing my portfolio. Have a great day.